Hello, this screencast is just going over area practice. So I'm just going to use this practice worksheet to show how to find the area of several different shapes. Unfortunately, none of them are a triangle, but we have some parallelograms and trapezoids. So let's get started. So whenever finding area, you need to have a right angle because area is the number of square units it takes to cover, and squares have right angles. So you always multiply the things that hit in a 90-degree angle. So that being said, if I'm going to find the area of this parallelogram, I'm not going to multiply the base times the slanty side. I'm going to multiply it by the height, which is perpendicular to the base. So the height is the 11 inches. So my first step is to write the formula for area, base times height, and then my second step would be to write in the dimensions. So the base is 15 and the height is 11. And then my next step would be to then multiply those two things. And 11 times 15 is 165, and that's inches squared. So that's the first shape. The next shape is a rectangle. And for a rectangle, you could also use the formula base times height, but you often see it as length times width. So in a rectangle, they don't have all of the sides that are touching. The adjacent sides are hitting at a 90-degree angle because it's a rectangle, so it has 4 right angles. So in that case, you're just going to multiply the length by the height, or the width, which is 2, and that equals 40 feet squared. So the rectangle is 44 feet squared. So number 3 is another parallelogram, and again, you need to multiply the base times the height, and the base is 36 and the height is 17. So that's how you would find the area of that parallelogram. Check and put your answer in and then check your answer. So the answer I had was 612 meters squared. So now let's look at the trapezoids, which are a little more complicated. So the formula for a trapezoid has the same letters in it that the formula for your triangles and parallelograms have, but the difference between the formula for a trapezoid is that it has this B1 and B2, or sometimes in some formula sheets you may see A plus B. And that's because if you look at a trapezoid, it actually has this top and bottom aren't the same number. So in a parallelogram, the top and the bottom, the parallel sides, have the same length. So it doesn't matter which one you use. But in a trapezoid, it has 2 different lengths. So the way that you get around that is you actually are going to find the average of those 2 bases. And that's what you're going to use to multiply by the height. And in the formula, it's showing you're finding the average because you're adding them and then you're multiplying by a half, which is the same thing as adding them, adding the base plus the base, and then, base, and then dividing by 2. The bases will always be the 2 sides that are parallel. They'll never, my bad. Sorry about that. The bases won't be the sides that are kind of slanty. They're always going to be the sides that are parallel to each other and separated by the height. So the height is the distance between those 2 bases. So maybe that'll help you figure out which numbers to use in your formula. So step 1 in finding the area is I'm going to write the formula. And then step 2 is I'm going to put in the numbers from my picture, which that can sometimes be the trickiest part. So let me fill those in now. So this may be a little confusing because the 22 is used twice. So this first 22 that you see in the formula, or the substitution, is the 22 that's the height, this 22. And then this second 22 here that you see in the substitution is for this right here, this shorter of the 2 bases. Okay, so now I'm going to use a calculator. So my calculator is going to do is it's probably going to use the parentheses first, so it's going to add 22 plus 36, which is 58, and then it's going to multiply 1/2 times 22, which is 11, and then 11 times 58 is 638 millimeters squared, which is the area of that trapezoid. Now this last trapezoid, number 5, is a little bit different than the one above because it has like one of the sides is a right angle. So the is actually a right or perpendicular to the base. So that's the same as the height. But you use the same formula. And so what I'm going to do now is you try it on your paper, and then I'm going to show, and you see if you get the right answer, and then I'll show the work. Okay? So now I have my numbers filled in from the picture, and I'm going to calculate that. So 40 plus 60 is 100. That's the two bases. I'm adding them together. And then if I was dividing that by 2 or multiplying that by half, I would get 50. So then 50 would be the base times the height, which is 20. And then the answer should be 1,000 millimeters squared. Okay, well, I hope that helps you understand some of these formulas a little better. Honestly, area is just a matter of practice. So get as much practice as you can, and you'll get better at it. And thank you for watching.